The trading floor in Chicago and find out what is going on. We'll get some expert analysis with none other than Tim Evans of Longleaf Trading. And how you doing there, Tim? It sounds like a fairly sober day here on the grain trade, at least on the trading floor.
Yeah, it's very busy, but off to a rough start for grains for sure.
All right, can you explain what's going on here? Why the hard push downward on the soybean trade?
Yeah, I heard your comments earlier, and yeah, I mean the numbers you referenced did come in favorable, but it seems the focus of the trade has changed a bit here. The tone going into end the week last week. Market seems to be very concerned about the impact of trade disputes and what kind of impact that could have on the international grain trade. I think the meal is really leading the soybean complex lower. I mean, if you kind of look at what the meal prices look like, meal's trading about $3 a ton over futures. This same time last year it was $10 over. Now on the 5-year average is 22 over. So we think that leaves the meal market susceptible to some selling, and we're definitely getting some of that today.
Well, the nearby meal is $9.50 lower on the current trade on March at $333.50 per ton. On the soy oil trade, we'll take a quick peek over there. It's down 69 points on the March at $33.58. Even canola is really taking a hit today with the severe weakness in the soybean trade. We have March canola down $8 in Canadian money, and it's all the way down to $509.90 now per metric ton. So it's also taking a really big hit today. Quickly on the wheat trade here, Chicago March wheat has been lower all day. We're down 4 3/4 now at 4.15 3/4. So we've lifted a little bit off our lows by about 3 cents. Kansas City March wheat there is lower as well today. Right now it's at 4.27 3/4, down 6 1/2. The Minneapolis was surprisingly hit hard today, down 8 3/4 on March at 5.51 1/4. Are they just unwinding those spreads where the Minneapolis wheat has been gaining on the other two here recently?
I'm sorry, Marlin, could you repeat that?
I'm sorry, I just wondered if Minneapolis wheat was just reversing that spread change that we have seen recently between it and Chicago and Kansas City.
Yeah, I think you're hitting the nail on the head, and,
okay.
and that's actually a position that we're actually quite active with at Longleaf right now.
Ah, interesting. Okay, I want to take a quick peek here at the cotton market, and then we'll take a break and talk livestock right now. Excuse me. March cotton down 13 points, so now we're at 74.72 per pound, well off our earlier highs by about 60 points for the time being. We'll come back and talk more with Tim Evans, this time about the livestock trade when we come back. Recently?
I'm sorry, Marlin, could you repeat that?
I'm sorry, I just wondered if Minneapolis wheat was just reversing that spread change that we have seen recently between it and Chicago and Kansas City.
Yeah, I think you're hitting the nail on the head, and,
okay.
and that's actually a position that we're actually quite active with at Longleaf right now.
Ah, interesting. Okay, I want to take a quick peek here at the cotton market, and then we'll take a break and talk livestock right now. Excuse me. March cotton down 13 points. So take a quick peek here at the Dow Jones Industrial Average because it's making a fairly big move downward today, and wow, it crashed through that 20,000 mark and then some. We're now at 19,909, make it 19,910 right now, down 183 points on the day. Is that concerning to the traders there on the trading floor as far as ag commodity market activity today?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think what we're really seeing is just the general fear of markets overall. I mean, and that applies to commodities, equities, you name it. Referencing a comment I made earlier, I think a lot of the concern is what we ended the week talking about last week and what we talked about all weekend, and that's the potential for major trade issues with Mexico and China, who are two of our biggest trading partners, especially in the agricultural markets. Mm-hmm. So the equity markets are definitely on the defensive, trying to kind of wrap their minds around kind of what kind of impact this can potentially have on international company evaluations.
Well, let's take a look at our futures on the live cattle and feeder cattle trade. Of course, we've been talking about it all morning long, where we had a very bearish cattle on feed report Friday with placements at 118% of a year ago. And the trade reacting negatively here. February live cattle down 222 at 116.10 per hundredweight. April still down there at $2.70 to the downside at 114.62. Got really close to limit down at one point. On the feeder cattle side, we've had severe losses there. Currently March down 373, trading at at 123.72, and the April contract down 345 at 123.30 per hundredweight. Do you think it's going to get worse before it gets better here, Tim, on this cattle complex so far, or do you think we could rebound off of this before the close yet today?
I think as long as, investor sentiment stays as it is like today, if we continue to see the Dow wash out, I think it's going to be tough for cattle to rebound. However, in my view, I think this actually presents a pretty good opportunity. I think cattle obviously is reacting to that placements number last week, and and it's caught in the storm today. But at the end of the day, one thing where a lot of focus wasn't on is the marketing numbers were current in that report as well. And futures are already trading at a pretty significant discount to cash. So we think there's an opportunity here around that 112 level in the April live cattle contract.
Well, given the fact that we had the cattle on feed report being that bearish, is it even possible that we can come out with an equally bearish cattle inventory report tomorrow or not?
Well, the thing about it is, I think the futures are already reflecting a series of bearish numbers. Okay. And so given that, I don't really think there's a whole lot more downside that can be had, and that's why I, have the view that I have, that I think there's, good value here, maybe 2 cents lower or so.
All right, let's take a quick peek here at the lean hog trade and on the lean hog futures. They have been kind of mixed here lately. Yeah. Now we're back to the plus side again on the nearby. Is February up 78 at 67.68 per hundredweight, and just one tick from our high of the day now. April, the most active, up 38 at 68.68. Tim, thanks so much. Appreciate it very much. We'll talk to you again soon.
Have a good day, Marlin.
Tim Evans with Longleaf Trading there in Chicago. Always good to hear from Tim, so appreciate all the comments on that.
All right, thank you so much, Marlin and Tim. Located in the beautiful